So a very good afternoon to all. And I Deepak Chaurasia, Assistant Professor at University Institute of Pharmacy, CSJM University Kanpur, will continue with my topic, that is the organic compounds and their classification. So this is an introductory lecture regarding the organic compounds, and we here first look into what are the organic compounds are and how we can able to further classify them accordingly on different aspects. So I am continuing my lecture. The scope of this lecture is the very first to look into the various historical prospects regarding the organic compounds, and further we do look into the exact meaning and the definition involved to know what an organic compounds or what an organic compound is. Then we further explore the various characteristics of the organic compounds, and in this lecture we also, before moving towards the classification, do know what is the difference between organic and inorganic compounds or a molecule, and further we will classify the organic compounds on different aspects. So I'm continuing my lecture. So let us look into the historical prospect related to the organic compounds, and theoretically the history of organic compounds is same as that of human civilization. Now this is a theoretical picture which itself indicates the presence of organic compound with human civilization. However, it is not only assumed, but it also be relied that organic compounds are existing well before the evolution of human civilization. Now please, very much peculiar here, what I am ultimately trying to let you people know, that existence of organic compounds, whatever present or whatever we ultimately knows, they are existing well before the evolution of systematic human civilization. However, due to absence of its literatural task, we generally say that organic compounds are evolved or organic compounds are present along with the human civilization. Now, as we all know, that human beings are having a very extraordinary characteristic and critical thinking power. Now, the extraordinary intellectual property or the ability, as well as the critical thinking ability of human beings, are ultimately results in collection as well as discrimination of various compounds which are be known or present, and hence this particular ability is ultimately results in formation of a very specific branch of science, that is the organic chemistry, which we do discuss in our earlier lecture. And approximately 9 million organic compounds are now being known and well reported with all their characteristics. Now, as I said earlier in my slide, that organic compounds are evolved with the evolution of human civilization. So here is the two very good example which itself indicates that organic compounds are well be used by the ancient civilization, and the two very renowned civilizations which I have given here an example as Roman and the Egyptian civilization. These peoples are ultimately use the organic compounds in one or other form. So what, for different purposes they are using the compound. They are using these organic compounds either as a dyes for coloring purposes, for coloring of their clothes, or for using same as these dyes to same as a ink. Then they also uses the organic compounds for treating certain diseases. So the traditional medicine man itself able to explore various organic compounds, and they well discovered these organic compounds which are ultimately be used for treating one or other diseases. And likewise, these civilization also purposefully use these organic compounds for poison also, for their poison for during their war to increase their territory. However, whatsoever the purpose of these civilizations are, or whatever the compounds purposefully these civilizations have used, these ancient civilization or these ancient chemists are not well aware of the chemical composition of the organic compounds, whatever they are using for different purposes. Now, in 16th century, most of the organic compounds are directly obtained from the nature. And very rarely, or I would here say, none of the organic compounds are anyhow be prepared in a purified state so that it can be used. So during 16th century, most of the organic compounds are ultimately we get extracted from various natural resources, and they are further be used in its crude form or in an impure form, as the traditional human civilization do not realize the importance of purification. And this is only because why they are not realizing or why they are not purifying the organic compound. This is only because these civilizations are unaware of various chemical constituents which are present in an organic compound. So rather than purifying them, these civilizations are ultimately be using the extracted chemicals or the extracted organic compounds which are obtained directly from the nature in its crude form. And the further reason behind the lack of purity or for using the crude extract or the crude organic compound is these civilizations also unable to know not only the importance of purification, but they also have a very less methods, or they're not having a very developed methods so available at that time, which can be able to purify the organic compounds, and it's able to discriminate its various composition among. However, further, certain methods are developed by the invention oriented humans, and these methods are then used to explore the elemental composition as well as the different organic constituents present in the extract which are obtained directly from the nature. Now, until 1807, it was realized by the traditional scientists as well as the discoverers that it is very difficult to synthesize any organic compound in a lab. And they are well in an opinion that organic compounds are synthesized or they are produced in the nature under the influence of certain very specialized force or the vital force, and they ultimately helps for the generation or for the yielding or for the formation of various natural based organic compounds, or we can say here the natural products. Then in 1828, the Friedrich Wöhler is successfully able to synthesize urea in the lab and also isolated the urea in the urine. Now, this is one of the most important discovery in the field of organic chemistry, which blow off the theory of vitalism, which I earlier discussed here. So this particular discovery or this particular synthesis of urea in the laboratory by F. Wöhler will ultimately blow off this theory of vitalism, and now it is realized that organic compounds are able to be get synthesized in the lab. And once this particular compound was synthesized and the vital or the vitalism theory was discarded, this ultimately paved the way for further laboratory-based synthesis of simple organic compounds. So this is a very conceptual idea and this is a very new idea which ultimately came in mind to the various chemists. Now, whatever the organic compounds which we are ultimately be getting from the nature, we can anyhow possibly synthesize them well in the lab. Now, as we know that pendulum of time is keep on swinging, and hence there are numerous discoveries and inventions are done in the organic chemistry, and all these development in the field of or the various field of organic chemistry will help the chemist at that time to have an in-depth study of various organic molecules which they are ultimately either be extracting from nature or they are preparing them in their lab itself. So what ultimately these advancement techniques helps the chemist to explore the organic molecules. This development in the various related fields of organic chemistry will further help in the development as well as the generation of newer organic molecules from the simpler one. So these techniques are ultimately helps in discovery of new organic entities or the molecule. Now with the help of these techniques, the chemists are now be able to synthesize the new organic molecules within their lab by following a structured chemical reaction. Now, the molecule or the organic molecule which gets synthesized in the lab, they are able, the chemist at that time is able to know what ultimately the synthetic route is followed for the generation of that particular molecule. Now further advancement in the analytical technique will help determine the net composition of organic molecule as well as to know its net worth exact elemental composition. These technique also helps the chemist to know one of the major problem in the chemistry is to determine the structure. This technique very much help the chemist so that they can know whatever the chemical or whatever the organic compound they have synthesized or the organic compound whatever they have extracted from the nature, what particular structure that particular molecule is having. So this is one of the major trust given by the development of these techniques. Now these techniques also help the chemist to know the exact reaction mechanism which is further be used or which is used by a particular set of reaction to produce the daughter molecule from the parent molecule. And these technique also, this evolution of these technique also helps to determine the activity of the organic molecule, and they correlates to different aspects of the science. this development of technology in field of organic chemistry not only helps the evolution of newer molecule or for the evolution of newer molecule, but this evolution in the technological aspect which further helps to correlate the two different aspects of the science by doing the activity of the organic molecule. For an example, uh, there are certain traditional organic molecules are there which are used by the ancient civilization for the treatment of certain diseases. And due to the evolution of this particular technique or advancement in the analytical chemistry or the advancement in the structural exploration, this help us to know what ultimately the particular structure of an organic molecule which was used by the ancient civilization for treating this particular disease, and how we can modify that structure so that a specific biological activity can be obtained. So here, this advancement in the analytical technique ultimately helps the scientist or the chemist, so they can correlate the two different aspects of the science and further develop the organic molecule in the sake or the beneficial sake of human civilization. Now we do discuss organic chemistry earlier also. I won't emphasize them more, but it has to be discussed here. So organic chemistry is an output of human intellectuality, and which I also discussed earlier in my slide. And this organic chemistry, in a very simplest term or in a very simplest manner, I say it is a science which deals with the organic compound. And as I discussed earlier, that organic compounds are the compounds which consist of carbon in its core skeleton. So to further, I would also here add, organic compounds are also included in a further way, not only the compounds which contains carbon itself in its core skeleton structure or in its core structure, but also the organic compounds included those molecules also which do contains the heteroatom along with the carbon. Heteroatoms, the heteroatom can be the sulfur, it can be nitrogen, it can be oxygen, and to certain circumstances, it can also be phosphorus, it can also be silicon. So, two things I have here mentioned in this slide, that organic chemistry have two very versatile characteristics. As you can see here, it is a productive science and an explorative science. So now, why I'm saying that organic chemistry is a productive science? What we are producing from the organic chemistry. So, in organic chemistry, why I'm saying it is a productive science? This organic chemistry helps us to build or generate certain novel molecules within a lab, and these molecules can be synthesized or semi-synthesized in the lab by following a particular well-defined synthetic reactions or set of reactions, as well as the organic chemistry also help us to isolate the organic molecules from different resources. So what my meaning here to say, productive science in terms of organic chemistry is because of the ability of this particular branch, or the ability of this specialized branch of science to synthesize, to semi-synthesized, or to isolate both existing as well as the novel organic compounds. Now let us look into the next aspect, which I earlier mentioned, the explorative science. So I here only concise, or I only here limit my discussion towards the biological activity, although different aspects can also be included here. But the aspect which I am included here in this particular slide is a very interesting one. Although organic chemistry, if I do ultimately discuss here that organic chemistry is explorative in terms of exploration of structure of various organic molecules which are well now existing, as well as it is explorative in terms to explore the newer molecules which ultimately we are synthesizing or which we are obtaining from the different resources. We do explorative type of research in such a molecule or in such a case of the molecule. However, I here only depicts or denote the exploration and correlates the exploration of organic chemistry to the biological activity. Now, earlier, exploration in organic chemistry is very much limited to the various aspects of the organic molecule. However, once the human realizes the importance of structure for treating a particular disease, numerous organic molecules are then targeted to various proteins and DNA so that a particular or a specific therapeutic molecule can be obtained. And as of now, most of the laboratories which are working, whether they are research or the academic laboratories are there, the researchers are continuously exploring not only the various aspects of an organic molecule, but they are also explore the organic molecule in terms of its biological activity so that a therapeutic molecule can be produced or obtained. So these are the two different aspects of the organic chemistry, why it is said to be a productive science and why it is said to be an explorative science. Now let us look into the various characteristics of the organic compounds, and I hope if people do knows all these characteristics. So I discuss each and every point one by one. So the very first important characteristic of an organic compound is that whatsoever the organic compound we are know or we are synthesizing in the lab or we are extracting from any source, these organic compounds have one thing common in their structure, whatsoever their resource is. irrespective of their resources, whether they are produced in the lab or whether they are obtained from the different aspect or different resources. One thing these molecules have the common is all of them have carbon atom in their core structure, and this carbon atom in some molecule there is only carbon and hydrogen is present, and in certain other molecule the carbon is also present along with the heteroatoms. Now the another characteristic is we are able to isolate, we are able to synthesize, as well as we are able to semi-synthesize the organic molecule in the laboratory. This is the another characteristic. Whatever the organic molecule we do know, it can ultimately be isolated, it can be synthesized, and it can be semi-synthesized in the laboratory well. Now, it contains heteroatom along with the core carbon. Organic molecules do contains, or once I am defining an organic molecule as a compound containing composed of carbon, so it is somewhat misleading. And if we do look into the various organic molecules, we do know that organic molecules do contain heteroatom in their core structure along with the carbon. Now, an organic molecule do have a complex structure, and this is not only always true for each and every molecule, and I won't say that each and every molecule or organic molecule have a complex structure, but as generally the organic molecule do have a complex structure. Then the next characteristic is they usually have higher molecular weight, and the very important thing which important characteristic which I am discussing now is that functional group governed chemical property of an organic molecule. That is, the chemical property of an organic molecule is governed by its functional group or whatever the functionality they ultimately be having. I do explain how this functional group oriented chemical properties are governed in an organic molecule. I do ultimately explain in my next slide. So this is a very important characteristic of an organic molecule, and here you can see that organic molecule, or the property of an organic molecule gets governed by the presence of different functional groups. Now, this is also a very common characteristic with an organic molecule, and in general sense, I say that organic molecules remain insoluble in the polar solvent. It is, for an example, I say water, and they are usually soluble in the non-polar solvent. For an example, I will say the prominent example is the ether. So the two characteristics which I here explained, its solubility pattern in the different solvent, this can be correlated to the structure as well as the various functionalities or the functional group which I have ultimately we discussed here to a certain extent, that if an organic molecule contains a long chain of hydrocarbon, please listen very carefully. If any organic molecule is there, or if there is any organic molecule which contains a long chain of carbon or a hydrocarbon, and that molecule is not containing the very first case, if an organic molecule is there and that organic molecule contains a very long chain of carbon atom, in such molecule is dissolved only in non-polar solvents. And as the number of carbon atoms gets increases, its solubility in non-polar solvent get enhanced and its solubility in polar solvent is get reduced, or it will be remains insoluble in the polar solvent. However, if that particular molecule which I have discussed right now, it contains and long chain of carbon atom along with certain functional groups which are polar in the nature, this ultimately hampers the solubility profile of that particular molecule in different solvents. So this is how the functional group ultimately affects the solubility of organic compound in different solvents. Then the organic compounds are volatile, it is combustible, and organic compounds do not conduct electricity, or they do not conduct the heat when in the aqueous solution, but the electricity is the important prospect. Then organic compounds do have a covalent bonding in their structure, and they have a low melting and a low boiling point. I am just comparing this with an inorganic molecule. Although there are organic molecules which are having a higher melting and a boiling point, but these 2 points I am comparing the organic molecules ultimately with some inorganic salts. So I concluded my lecture here itself, and we will further discuss this topic in our upcoming lectures. So thank you.